To round out the Sunday Six for Week 13, I want to focus on a player more so than a game. Dolphins crushed the Commanders 45-15 up at FedEx Field to improve to 9-3 for the first time since 2001. But the game itself doesn't really do much for me. Washington is circling the drain. Commanders have lost 4 straight. They've been outscored by 80 points. So I don't know how much we've learned about the Dolphins watching them kick the Commanders around for 3 hours. But let's focus on Tyreek Hill, whose chase for 2,000 receiving yards got a big boost when he went for 157 and 2 touchdowns. It's his first multi-touchdown game since the season opener. He was balling. To break it down, I'm joined now by the guys who called the game, my buddies Adam Amin and Mark Schlereth, to talk about the way Tyreek Hill changes the math for defenses trying to deal with him. Guys, I'm going to apologize in advance because I know this one's not easy to answer, but Tyreek Hill, I mean, how does he change the math? How do defenses account for this guy and this very obvious game-breaking ability?
Yeah, I mean, every coach that you're going to talk to, every defensive coordinator or head coach that you talk to before a Miami game, first thing in the scouting report is number 10, right? He's line item number 1. Yep. And the initial thought, and I'm the layman here, is, well, you got to back off, right? But it feels like they can take advantage of whatever defensive shell that you get.
You back off. You just hit him in a window inside and just let him outrun people. I mean, that's exactly who he is. And it's one of those things where I've talked to probably 7 or 8 different defensive coordinators who have told me the same thing. Hey, he's really fast on film, but on the football field, he's the fastest football player I've ever seen. And so it just is one of those deals where you try to get into the windows where the Miami Dolphins are trying to throw it, deny him the football that way, and then see if you can pressure Tua. If you can't do that, then eventually he's going to get you because that speed is just unmatched.
Yeah, Dave, it just feels like you were talking about the math of it, right? The math that we were talking about today was the time, the time in the pocket. This is one of the fastest offenses in the NFL, not just the speed that Mark was talking about, but how quickly they get the ball out. Now, obviously, the speed on the outside helps that, but it really does feel like it's got to be impacting Tua because the games that Miami's lost this year, Tua was impacted. It was Buffalo, Philadelphia, Kansas City. They got after Tua. They sacked him. They affected the throws, and that's how you limit him because Tyreek Hill one-on-one, even one-on-two, is about as dangerous of players I think we've seen in this century.
And with Tua having time to get the ball out, look, 157 yards against Washington, he's sitting just shy of 1,500 yards. If we can assume that he's going to keep this up and have a shot at 2,000, do you think Tyreek is, I mean, when we talk about him as a potential MVP, how legitimate do you think that is?
I would say it's pretty legitimate.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I don't think there's any question. I mean, when you think about guys, I mean, it'll be the first time in the history of the National Football League that a receiver has gotten 2,000 yards if he's able to do that. So you've got to put him in that equation, in that conversation. And listen, it doesn't matter what you try to do to take him away, and it's one of the priorities that every defensive coordinator has going into the Miami when they play Miami. And guess what? Every weekend he walks away with 100-plus yards. So, you know, everybody's trying to eliminate him from the game plan, and nobody truly has been able to do it.
8 times now that he's had 100-plus yards. It actually tied a Miami record that's been sitting for, you know, about 35, 36 years now. Mark Duper in 1986. And the number that you're talking about, 2,000, never been touched. The record, obviously, Calvin Johnson did it in 16 games, granted, but did it in 2012. And he was talked about it that year, working with Matthew Stafford as a potential MVP. So I don't see why Tyreek Hill can't be in that conversation this year.
The Miami Dolphins put up a ton of yards and a ton of points. What else is new? Guys, thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Dave.
Pleasure.
Hill's big day in Washington puts him just shy of 1,500 yards on the season. Now, I was no math major, but I think I figured out he needs to average about 104 yards the rest of the way to become the NFL's first ever 2,000-yard receiver. Now, I don't know if that's good enough to get him NFL MVP, but if he does it against what's coming up for the Dolphins, he's going to deserve to be in the conversation at the very least. On the horizon for Miami, they got another game against the Jets secondary. They got the Cowboys. They got a road game against the Ravens, 3 of the very best defenses in the NFL this season. If he can beat them the way that he has consistently beaten coverage all season long, not only will he get his 2,000 yards, he will very deservedly be on the short list, maybe the only non-quarterback in play for NFL MVP. 2,000 yards. I know there's an extra game on the schedule these days. Still can't stress enough how impressive that is. And just for the record, I did look this up. Calvin Johnson, currently the NFL's leading receiver for a single season. He had 1,964 back in 2012. Again, did not major in math, but that comes out to an average of about 122.7 yards per game. Tyreek currently averaging 123.4 per game. So by the thinnest of margins, averaging more yards. So yes, he gets the extra game, but what he's doing still plenty impressive, even with the difference in the schedule. I can't wait to see how he does this. Another couple days like he had against Washington, I think it's entirely possible. We'll see.